Coming up on market shares, the manhunt for the shooter who killed United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson has entered its third day. What we know so far.
And President-elect Donald Trump taps venture capitalist and all-in podcast host David Sachs as the next AI and crypto czar, what this role will entail.
And Bitcoin topped $100,000 for the first time. How is crypto experiencing an extraordinary rally? Hold on to your wallets because market shares starts right now. Good afternoon and welcome into Market Shares. I'm Mike Lamorte.
And I'm Carson Fowler. We're about 15 minutes past the closing bell. Let's take a look at how the major indexes ended the first week of December. The Dow Jones and the NASDAQ and the S&P 500 all record closes on Wednesday. The NASDAQ closing about 3% higher than it was 5 days ago. The S&P just above, and the Dow Jones closing about 0.68% where it was of last week. Like I said, record closes on Wednesday. This comes after Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell spoke at the New York Times Deal Book Summit on Wednesday. He said the economy is, in quote, in really good shape.
Yeah, now, Carson, speaking of being in good shape, how about the jobs report for November? Also in good shape. Payrolls have increased $227,000 in this month of November. That was more than expected, though you may be a little worried about the unemployment rate that edged higher to 4.2%, but that was expected, so not too much of a worry there. Job gains in certain areas like healthcare, leisure and hospitality, and in the government. So overall, a good report, especially as we head into that transitionary period during the next presidency.
And expectations that we will get another rate cut on the next December owners meeting at December 18th, expected to be a 25-point basis cut. Let's look at our market movers rather. Bitcoin topped $100,000 like we mentioned this week. $101,000, a 5% increase where it was last week. The surge came just hours after Trump nominated crypto booster Paul Atkins to the chair of Securities and Exchange Commission. Despite what being viewed as extremely volatile, since Election Day, the price of Bitcoin has climbed nearly 50%. Obviously, good time to buy the coin if you're buying Bitcoin.
No, absolutely. Good time to be in Bitcoin, in cryptocurrency in general. We have another market mover in cryptocurrency. But before we get to that, talk a little bit more about Bitcoin. This next administration certainly looking to be more crypto friendly, especially with the SEC pick that Trump is planning to appoint there. So definitely good news for Bitcoin, especially making it past that $100,000 mark. But let's move to another cryptocurrency. How about XRP? My brother Dom back home in Staten Island begging me to talk about XRP. Well, guess what, Dom? Congratulations. XRP now $2.39 a coin. That's up nearly more than 400% since the election. Again, great news for cryptocurrency, especially with this SEC pick. XRP was facing a lawsuit. The lawsuit alleged that XRP was sold as an unregistered security. That lawsuit, though, expected to be dropped during this next administration.
And how about this fun fact, Michael? If you had invested $1,000 in XRP when Snoop Dogg performed at the Ripple community event at Consensus 2018, your $1,000 investment would be worth almost $3,400, a 249% year-over-year increase. It's something special, man.
No, absolutely. You know, though XRP might be $2.39, you're seeing a lot of major money being thrown at it during these next few weeks, and the bull run for cryptocurrency seems to be at its height right now. So you might see some millionaires just off of a $2.39 coin within the coming weeks.
I mean, the investment in technology and AI just kind of seems like it just keeps on coming, especially in the blockchain, and there's just untapped potential, it seems like. Well, our last market mover is United. The airline stock hit a record high this week, over $105 this week. 3.14%, 3+ where it was last 5 days away. It is up 150% year to date of where it was. It's up 150%, like I mentioned. It has finally climbed back to some of those pre-pandemic levels. Sort of a vote of confidence in the travel sector, and it's a bounce back since COVID, plus a global resurgence for travel.
Yeah, absolutely record-breaking time for travel, especially during this Thanksgiving season, and now we're transitioning into winter holiday season. So good news for United there. Definitely also a breath of fresh air, as there was concerns with the industry over capacity demands and mismatches earlier this year. So good signs for United. Well, moving on from United to United Healthcare, the manhunt for the shooter who killed United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson and what police are describing a targeted attack has entered its third day. Investigators are developing clues from a burner phone and water bottle that were believed to be dropped by the suspect. A shell cast found from one of the bullets fired at Thompson had the words "depose" written on it, with "delay" that was written on a live round. Police now investigating if this could be linked to a phrase criticizing the insurance industry: delay, deny, defend. Thompson was appointed CEO back in 2021 and has been at the company since 2004.
Another result of the shooting, widespread attention to a new policy by Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield. One of the country's largest health insurers reversed a change in policy after a backlash from customers. Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield announced that they would limit reimbursements for anesthesia during surgery and medical procedures. Typically, anesthesia is administered for as long as the procedure takes, a decision usually determined by the doctor performing this procedure rather than the anesthesiologist. Before the reversal, New York and Connecticut had stepped in to stop the plan from going into effect. And coming up on Market Shares, President-elect Donald Trump's cabinet picks for roles related to the U.S. economy. Find out who he's appointed when we return.
Hey, Hard, what's this?
That's my resignation letter.
You're resigning.
Why? Because you're constantly ignoring me. You're half as active as you used to be, and you get stuff like this. You've been putting me under a lot of pressure lately. That's why I'm ready to quit.
I forgot. I'll do better. Please, don't quit on me.
Okay, but remember, it's not what you say, it's what you do.
Listen to your heart. Don't let it quit on you.
Let's go for a walk.
Uncontrolled high blood pressure could lead to a stroke, heart attack, or death. Get yours to a healthy range before it's too late.
Did you hear about the pony with a sore throat? He was a little horse. Can I tell you a cat joke? Just kidding. Why couldn't the Why was the basketball court all wet? Why? Because the players kept dribbling all over it. Where do cats go on vacation? New York.
1 in 3 adults has pre-diabetes. That means it could be you, your favorite brother, your other brother, you, your football buddy, your football buddy, you, your plumber,
Breathe right into your foot.
your plumber's masseuse,
Yes.
you, your dog walker, your cat jogger. With early diagnosis, pre-diabetes can be reversed. Take the risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org.
Good afternoon and welcome back to Market Shares. It was announced this morning that TikTok's bid to strike down a law banning the social media in the U.S. was unsuccessful. Denying TikTok's argument that the law was unconstitutional, a unanimous ruling by 3 judges found that the law does not, quote, contravene the First Amendment, nor does it violate the Fifth Amendment.
Now, unless TikTok can convince Chinese parent company ByteDance to sell, this ruling means the app is one step closer to facing a ban. ByteDance has faced a lot of backlash in the past as lawmakers are concerned it could share user data with the Chinese government and promote Chinese propaganda. If TikTok does not find a new owner by the end of January, app stores and internet services could face hefty fines for hosting the platform. TikTok says they will be going to the Supreme Court next to fight today's court decision. Well, the transition team for President-elect Donald Trump is busy at work, and at the center of it all is the economy. Trump has promised record tariffs, and the team that will put that and more into effect is currently being picked. Our Alex Burstein joins us in studio. Alex, some big picks made this week by Trump.
Yeah, a lot of picks being made on a variety of economic roles. We'll start with the Securities and Exchange Chair, where Paul Atkins, a former federal regulator, has been tapped. Trump said earlier this week that Atkins believes in a, quote, robust, innovative capital market. After his previous stint as SEC commissioner in the George W. Bush administration, he went into advising, and a big part of that was 2 crypto companies. Some experts now believe that could help regulate a rapidly expanding market. Here's former FDIC Chair Sheila Bair.
There is a lot of illicit use of it. There's a lot of illicit use of the banking system as well. But having a federal regulatory regime that helps the good players develop and keeps out the bad actors, I think that's really what's the objective that you should pursue.
Now, you guys mentioned tariffs, and with that comes trade. It's going to be a familiar name as Chief Trade Advisor for President-elect Trump. Peter Navarro will be the Senior Counselor for Trade and Manufacturing, a similar role that he had in the first Trump administration. Since then, though, he served a 4-month federal prison sentence after denying a congressional subpoena in the January 6 investigation. In a social post, Trump said, quote, "During my first term, few were more effective or tenacious than Peter in enforcing my 2 sacred rules: buy American, hire American." The biggest task for him may be navigating trade policy with China, who Trump has already threatened further tariffs on. Here's what Navarro had to say in a 2020 interview about China during the COVID-19 pandemic.
A bill has to come due for China. It's not a question of punishing them. It's a question of holding China account, the Chinese Communist Party account, for what it did, not just to the American people, the American workers, American children, American senior citizens.
So tariffs and crypto being attacked early on here in Trump's picks.
Andrew, how is crypto likely to look different under the Trump administration? Obviously, it seems like he's pretty favorable. He tweeted on X, he posted on X that he said, "Bitcoiners, it's for you, $100,000.
Yeah, I mean, you guys touched on this earlier. It's already had a boom since Election Day, and it's probably only going to grow even more. This is expected to be a pro-deregulation administration, and that's going to keep on with crypto. As you mentioned, there's going to be a new SEC chair. Gary Gensler, the current chair, he's been widely seen as being kind of anti-crypto. With Atkins, that's going to be a complete flip from what we've seen before. And there's also some other things to look out for, such as the potential for possibly a Bitcoin reserve for the U.S. government that's never been seen before. So overall, a lot of picks we've already seen that are pro-crypto, and that's likely to keep on going.
Now, Alex, we talked earlier in the show about Trump making a new White House AI and crypto czar, appointing him. Can you tell us a little bit more about him?
Yeah, it's a familiar name to people in the podcast world. David Sachs, who hosts the technology podcast All In. He also was part of the original team that helped create PayPal, and he's been very into crypto the past 10, 15 years. And now Trump is trying to make sure America is on the top with crypto. He wants someone who can help with both artificial intelligence as well. Sachs is someone who's big friends of Elon Musk, so that relationship likely to keep on going now in the White House. But Sachs taking on a new role that's never really been seen before in the U.S. government.
And sticking with business, you said a former senator was picked to lead the Small Business Administration. Tell us a little bit more about it.
Yeah, I mean, if you'll remember the name Kelly Loeffler, she was in the Senate for just about a year or under out of Georgia. She was a special election pick and then lost in the next special election. But Loeffler is someone who does not have that much government experience. She only, as we mentioned, was in the Senate for about a year. And other than that, no really other time in government. She grew up on a farm, so has that kind of small business mentality from her youth. But since then, she's been in a lot of very big companies. When she was in the Senate, she was the richest senator of all of them. So she has a lot of experience, but not so much with these small businesses. We'll see what she can do in this new role.
Andrew, we appreciate your time. Well, Mexico, Canada, and China imported more than $1 trillion in U.S. goods in the last year, but with President-elect Donald Trump floating new tariffs, prices will be affected here in the States. Our Ben Bascuk is here tracking some of these business market trends, are responding. And Ben, you took a trip to Canada is what I understand.
I did. Had to avoid a little bit of weather on I-90, and I found myself just off the lake there in Toronto, and I had to fill up for gas on the way. So what I noticed there is gas right now in Canada is just about over $4 US. That's going to go up if these tariffs hit. Right now, Trump is proposing floating tariffs, a 25% blanket tariff on Mexican and Canadian goods, and a 10% increase at the gas pumps. That's what that's going to cause here in the U.S., about 33 to 34 cents cents on the gallon and about $10 on the barrel. So gas prices are going to increase. We know when tariffs hit, inflation goes up, and it makes it hard, slows that GDP growth too. So it's going to be harder to carry out that economic plan for Bascuk, which is now the Treasury pick.
Now, you mentioned the gas prices, especially in Canada. Are there any other sectors where these tariffs are supposed to make a big impact?
Yeah, these tariffs are going to affect just about everything we touch, right? Everything we buy. That's not uncommon. Last time he floated these tariffs in the previous administration, and prices did go up for consumers. About half of Canadian cars were made in Canada. This is going to be a two-way streak. We saw Justin Trudeau, the Prime Minister of Canada, say the other week that this is going to hurt both countries when it comes to prices. And it may not have the effect that he wants when it comes to bringing businesses back in that protectionist trade agenda here in the U.S. We have to think when it comes to these cars, they have parts, right? And those parts go back and forth, and those tariffs compound. So that is really going to hit those big companies, but also those smaller companies as well. We have about $173 billion in auto imports from Canada, but it's, again, everything we touch: dairy, paper products, building supplies, electronics. I know I paid you a compliment on your shoes earlier. $50 pair of shoes, that's going to go up to around $65. So it is going to impact purchases on every level, from grocery stores to clothing.
And really quick, I want to get your opinion on this. You would think that United States and Canada would be willing to trade with each other because of the favorable trade conditions. Why would Trump even want a tariff like this in his administration?
Yeah, I mean, some people say that this may be like a negotiation tactic. I mean, we saw this happen last time, and some of those were imposed, some weren't. But it is a beneficial relationship, and we've seen both the Prime Minister of Canada and their trade representatives say that the U.S. has a good trade relationship with Canada. I mean, we are all part of that NAFTA organization, and have been for years now. Now, he's floating these tariffs for a reason, because it's funding most of his economic plan. But something interesting we saw is that in his first administration, those tariffs only amounted to about 0.3% of the GDP. So it is funding the government. It is going to allow him to pay for some more things. And it was a part of both Harris and Trump's campaign for president. This is what the people voted for. And it's likely that's what they're going to get.
Well, you talk about having the good relationship. Trump obviously meeting with the Canadian Prime Minister. The Canadian Prime Minister asking not for those increased tariffs. It's going to hurt the Canadian economy, that it possibly may not survive. Trump then said, be the 51st state. Reactions to that?
He did say that. That's the Trump language, of course. But I think what we have to, they did have a meeting. They said it was a beneficial meeting. He had a meeting with the Mexican president as well. They said that was a beneficial meeting. Something I thought was interesting is that when he had that meeting with the Mexican president over trade and immigration, they had two very different stories to tell. When it came to that. But I think we got to look at relationships. We got to look at retaliatory tariffs. What's that going to look like? Mexico, China, any Euro allies, they're all going to hit the U.S. with retaliatory tariffs. That's pretty normal in an economic standpoint if one country imposes tariffs. It's not going to hit those big companies. It is going to hit the smaller ones, those small to medium-sized businesses. They don't have $500,000 on their books to prepay supply chains going forward and scheduling out. But those bigger companies are, in fact, doing that.
Yeah, I think the purpose, though, obviously, of these tariffs is to create that America First initiative and bring back production in the U.S. We'll see if that plan works out, if those tariffs will actually make it to the light of day in this next administration. Thanks, Ben, for joining us. Well, coming up on Market Shares, chipmaker Intel has forced out its CEO for failing to turn the company towards the right direction. How the company is responding after the break.
Meet Norm. He lives with anxiety, but with the help of this latest innovation from Be Normal, he can be normal, just like everyone else. With the swipe of a finger, you can project happiness, confidence, machismo. Why settle for being real when you can be normal? The Normal Maker, new from Be Normal. This item doesn't really work because there's no such thing as normal. We're all different. What we like, how our brains work. In fact, 1 in 5 of us live with mental illness. Don't filter who you are. Start by talking to someone you trust. And remember, there is no normal.
Hey, Bobo, do trees tell each other stories?
I'm sorry. I'm afraid I don't know that.
Hey, why don't we go find out? Listen.
Do clouds take naps?
I couldn't tell you.
Can birds draw pictures?
I don't have an answer for that.
Dad, Do stars visit their friends?
Look!
Welcome back to Market Shares. Well, shares of PSQ Holdings went completely soaring after news that the president-elect Donald Trump's son, Donald Trump Jr., joined the board. The stock surged 270%, around $8 a share, and PSQ owns that online marketplace Public Square, a company that last released operating losses of more than $14 million. In a statement released by Trump Jr., he wrote, quote, "With a rapidly growing marketplace and payments ecosystem, Public Square has a distinct position in the market based on the core tenets of our nation's founding. Paired with a result-driven management team, the American people have affirmed the importance of liberty, and Public Square is at the forefront of this movement."
And Foot Locker seems to be taking a step in the wrong direction. The company fell short of Wall Street's expectations on the top and bottom line. They blamed the miss on soft consumer demand. In the 3 months ending in November, Foot Locker saw a loss of $33 million or 34 cents per share. Sales were also down about 1.4% from a year earlier. Given this report, Foot Locker's biggest brand partner, Nike, could likely post yet another rough quarterly result later this month. Nike accounts for around 60% of Foot Locker's total sales. Despite this gloomy outlook, the company's sales grew over 2% compared to the year earlier. Definitely keep something on the eye as the holiday season approaches.
Well, on the other hand, Lululemon is doing pretty decent ahead of the holidays. The athletic apparel company is making slow growth in the U.S., but it's making big gains abroad. They beat Wall Street expectations with a 9% increase in sales to around $2.4 billion. Lulu hit a rough patch this year as competitors with the company like Nike and Athleta have gotten more intense, resulting in a 2% decrease in U.S. sales. The company turned to China, which has been lifting sales around 4% this quarter. Now, Carson, I can't explain enough just how popular Lululemon is amongst my girlfriend. To think that Lululemon sales is...
Hey, I wear Lululemon.
Not to discredit the Lululemon that you wear. It's a very, very comfortable brand, very premium clothing, but I can't fathom the idea that they actually dropped sales in the United States.
Yeah, but up 26% on the week. Obviously, good things going into the holiday season. You think people are shopping, buying gift cards, so it makes a little bit of sense that Lululemon's up so much right now. Well, Volkswagen's bosses driving home a strong message that urgent changes are needed to save the company. Nearly 100,000 employees, a third of the companies, staged a walkout earlier this week to push against back plans for potential closures and job cuts. In a speech to staff at the company's Wolfsburg headquarters, he stated, as management, we are not operating in a fantasy world. We are making decisions in a rapidly changing environment. His speech was met with repeated booing from employees. Negotiations between workers and representatives and the company are set for December 9th.
Well, with its stock plummeting, tech giant Intel has decided to make a major change. The chipmaker's board pushed out CEO Pat Gelsinger with hopes it would turn around the direction the company is going. Well, Riley Underwood has the details. Hey, Riley.
Hey guys, resign or be fired. That was the message given from Intel's board of directors to its CEO, Patrick Gelsinger. He took the first option and retired. Intel stock has decreased over 50% this year and hasn't been able to return to its former glory since Gelsinger took over in 2021. Intel, which makes chips that handle calculations in most of the world's computers, lost its lead in developing manufacturing technology to the Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company toward the end of the last decade. More recently, it's also missed out on the market for processors in mobile phones and artificial intelligence. NVIDIA has pulled away in the AI market, and Intel didn't seem to be catching up. Gelsinger had a big part in the passing of the CHIPS Act, the act that will bring Micron to Syracuse. The act is designed to encourage more U.S. production of computer chips. As part of the lobbying effort, he committed to building new U.S. factories and promised that Intel would catch up to the Taiwan company's technology by 2025. Gelsinger has been a staple in Silicon Valley since the late 1970s and was the architect behind some of the 1980s most successful computer processors. However, in his term as Intel CEO, the company lost out on around $100 billion. They've named 2 interim CEOs, but haven't announced a permanent hire for the position. Guys?
Thanks for that report, Riley. Coming up on Market Shares, the return of the McRib, how the limited edition sandwich from McDonald's has caused an uptick in stock market value.
Here's your check. Oh, you got it. You know, since I got rid of my car, I really enjoy walking.
Okay. Gone. No.
Getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates.
Oh, you're home early. You live with your mom?
That'll set your game back a few years. Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
Come on, it's not that hard.
My big man fingers are having a problem with these little tiny buttons.
Whoa, watch it there. Your blood pressure's gonna go through the roof.
Tell me about it. I'm trying to learn how to get it down. Instead, it keeps going up.
High blood pressure can increase the risk for heart attack or stroke. Learn how to keep yours at a healthy range.
Ever hear a voice command? Just say text barbershop to 97779.
That's not what I said.
Just give me that. Now my blood pressure's up.
Fancy pants peanut butter? A big screen television? You haven't even bought a sofa yet. A motorcycle? When your father finds out, he's gonna flip his shoes with 2 buckles? What do you even need 2 buckles for? Mr. Big Shot, buying whiskey shots for everybody in the bar. From the looks of it, I'd say nobody even remembers. Feed the pig.
Welcome back. McDonald's is bringing back a fan favorite to its menu. Earlier this week, the McRib returned to stores across the nation, but will the McRib season impact McDonald's stock? Here to break this down is our former news director, now McDonald's beat reporter, Brandon McMyers. Hey, Brandon.
Hey, Michael, glad to be here. That's right, McRib season has officially begun. This is the second time the McRib has returned since making its farewell tour in 2022. So is it a good time to invest in the MCD stock? Well, the impact that the sandwich has on the stock has been dubbed the McRib effect. And it's when the S&P 500 has a higher daily return whenever the McRib is available compared to when it's not. Out of all of the days when the McRib was available from 2010 to 2023, the S&P has averaged a 0.1% daily return compared to the 0.04% when it wasn't. The MCD stock has been trending relatively upward since the McRib officially returned on Monday, closing today at around $300 per share, slightly lower than this morning. The stock reached a high in October, closing at $316.56 on October 18th, but has dipped in recent weeks, especially after the CDC announced an E. coli outbreak linked to onions just 4 days later. As of Tuesday, that outbreak is officially over. So will the McRib save McDonald's? Well, the McRib return last year did come with an upward trend in the MCD stock. On November 9th of 2023, 2 days before the McRib's return, the stock was at $266.91 per share. Just over a month later, it was at $295.93 per share. So now could be a good time to invest in the McDonald's stock for a possible profit. Mike?
Guys, I can't not believe that we have McRibs in front of us right now. Courtesy Brandon Myers over here. I've never smelt the McRib,
Our
touched
McDonald's
the McRib, tasted
beat
the McRib.
reporter joining us at the desk.
We got to dig in right now, so let's.
So we talked about the McRib effect. Apparently, there is a correlation between the sandwich's limited time return in both the and there's in the upticks in both the stock markets and in Bitcoin's value.
Really?
And apparently, when the McRib is available, the S&P 500, the average daily return is up 7 basis points of what it normally is. So maybe you're right, Brandon.
All right.
Well, are we ready here?
I'm not eating this.
Oh, you got it. Come on. Okay. All right.
We'll do a bite. We'll do a bite.
I think we gotta cheers this. Wow, there's got so much.
Oh, there's so much sauce.
Cheers. Look, come on. You gotta dig in.
Look at it. Look at how awful it looks.
Let's get a close up on this. There we go. Right
Why are there pickles?
Are you ready? Come on, get in there.
All right.
There we
Cheers.
go. Cheers. And here we go.
Kind of underwhelming.
There's pickles on it. I didn't know that.
It's so bad. It's not good.
Wow. Well, it was an experience. It was the McRib experience. I think I just first time. What better way to do it right here on Market Shares? Well, For the last time this semester, that's all the time we have for you on this episode of Market Shares. Be sure to follow us on Twitter and Instagram at CitrusTV News and like us on Facebook. I'm Michael Lamorte.
And I'm Carson Fowler. Happy holidays, Syracuse. For all of our producers, our entire team, our executive producer, Margaret Blody. We'll see you next semester.